This episode was previously recorded in front of an imaginary studio audience.
Time for Fun Knife Friday!
Alright, all you knife chatters out there from the Volcano Club, it's another Fun Knife Friday with your old pal Skip the Show coming back at you again. You miss me? I know, I haven't been on Fun Knife Friday in, I don't know how long. Might have been a week, might have been 2 weeks, I don't know. Anyway, I figured I needed to come back because, Junior was telling me that this Friday is International Knife Day. Now, I don't, Junior, he probably hitting the corn squeezing us a little bit, and he might not really know anything about International Knife Day. I don't even know if there is an International Knife Day, but you know what? If it is an International Knife Day, this Friday is going to be International Knife Day at the Volcano Club because, well, I figured about time somebody do this because Tobias has been saying he's going to do it for a while, and he once again said he's going to do it, but I doubt he's going to get around to it. And the reason he said it is because that guy Tom over at Knife Delights decided to bring back this open tag of knives from around the world. And you know, Tobias claimed he was going to do something like that with the bayonets that he has, but he never got around to it, and I doubt he ever will. He talks more than anything. But anyway, if you ever looked at one of his videos where he's like showing a big old knife and he's got this display behind him with a bunch of knives in it and everything, there's a bunch of bayonets there, and for some reason, you know, I don't get that either. Why does he have to turn the camera around, have the camera on him when he's talking all the time? Man, he must have one heck of an ego that he has to have the camera on him all the time. I don't know. Anyway, won't pick on him anymore. I wish he would have got around to doing this thing with the bayonets, but he's never going to, so I figured what I would do is I will do it for him. And then he's going to see how I did it, and he's going to say, well, I can do better than that. Then maybe he'll finally get around to doing it, but I doubt he'll ever get around to doing it. But we got bayonets from all over the place. Some of them over here in the Volcano Club, and a bunch of them over by where Tobias has his workbench and stuff. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at a bunch of bayonets. What do you say? Should be, we'll go on a little field trip. What do you say? All right, cut the camera. Let's go. All right, we're over by the main entrance to the Volcano Club. Sometimes you'll see Tobias standing over here. But anyway, we got a couple bayonets over here too. A lot of people don't realize that because I think Tobias is standing here talking to me all the time, getting in my way, talking about my business and stuff like he knows what he's doing or something. But usually right behind him are two bayonets. And one of them here, this one's out of Sweden. It's got a metal scabbard down here, leather frog. Pull it out and let's take a look at this thing. Look at that, ain't that a beauty? That's an M1896 bayonet from Sweden. And you know the cool thing on here is it says EJAB. So it's like, I think that's Swedish for jab or stab, so E-jab. You know, this is a knife for jabbing things. Well, it's a bayonet, right? Put it on the end of a Swedish Mauser from 1896, and you go into battle and you poke things with it. And you know, it's funny because Sweden was kind of a neutral country. I don't think they got involved in any of the wars, but they did have some what do you want to call border disputes with their neighbors from time to time. So maybe they use them at that time. But in any case, there you have M1896 bayonet from Sweden. And then we got another neutral country's bayonet here. Let's get this back in there first. Oh, that sounds so good. Oh, yeah. Anyway, let's get over to the Swiss one over here. This is by Switzerland. This is the M1957 bayonet. And it is a beautiful bayonet. Look at how long that blade is. I think it's like 10 inches long. And this is for the M1957 Sturmgewehr by Sweden. And some people say that's one of the best assault rifles ever made. It's definitely one of the best assault rifles ever made by a neutral country. We can go with that. This one was actually made by Wenger. You know, Wenger Swiss Army knives. Well, this is the Wenger bayonet. Victorinox also made them, and I think another company also made them. But these, look at that, nice shiny metal finish on there all around. And then you got this black rubberized handle on there, and it's, look at all the deep grooves in there. This kind of feels cool in the hand. That's your M1957 bayonet for the M1957 Sturmgewehr out of Sweden, out of Switzerland. Don't get Sweden and Switzerland confused. One of them's full of mountains and the other one's full of mountains, so it's very easy to get the two of them confused. But you know, one of them's in Europe and the other one's in Europe, so you know there's a lot of differences between Sweden and Switzerland besides just the way they're spelled. Their flags are different. One of them's got a square flag and the other one doesn't. All right, so there's the big difference. Switzerland has a square flag. Sweden, it has a rectangular flag. So that's an easy way to tell the difference between Sweden and Switzerland. Also, one of them's full of cows, I think. Cheese, and chocolate, Switzerland. And the M1957 Sturmgewehr bayonet, it comes from Switzerland. But the Swedish chef, he comes from Sweden. Norgy Borger. Alright, guess you guys have seen this wall before. This is a part of Tobias's cavern of cutlery, and this is where he's got a bunch of military knives. Now, most of these knives are actually bayonets, and while the majority of these bayonets are from the United States, you know, served with the United States military, some of them are from other countries. And so what we'll do is we'll go over these real quick, and then well, I don't know, that'll probably be the end of it, because once I get to the end of these bayonets, it's every bayonet that Tobias owns so far. I think he's going to buy some more, I don't know. I know there's some he wants, but doesn't have. Anyway, let's get to the point here. Get to the point, get it? We're looking at bayonets. All right, the first one here is right here. This is the number 4 Mark II Star bayonet, and this is for the number 4 Enfield rifle that the British used in World War II. Now, this was a replacement. The number 4 rifle was the replacement for the Mark III rifle. I don't know, the British, the way the British number their knives and their bayonets and stuff are just well, it's just mind-boggling. But in any case, this is a spiky bayonet. See right there, it's just a sharpened nail basically, but really strong and fitted there. And then this end goes on to the end of the rifle. The British didn't like this too much. The soldiers, they didn't like it too much because there's no real grip or handle or anything to hold it on to, you know, to hold on to. So it's very hard to use it for digging and everything else. They would have preferred something with a handle, and they ended up eventually getting one. But you know, they did do something else with this, so that when it wasn't on the end of the rifle, that they could do something with it. And that was they had an entrenching tool. They had a stick on the end here, and you could actually attach the bayonet to that, so you had a little length to it, and they used it for probing for landmines and stuff like this. So they just sit around and poke until something went boom. Well, usually till they felt something hard, and then they would you know, after they either wet themselves or crapped their pants, they had to get rid of the mine that they just found. But anyway, that's what this is for too. So that was kind of cool, and I don't know how I'm going to get that off, so I wonder how that would work. Oh man, I so want a box to throw out right now. I can't do it here. Anyway, let's move on to the next bayonet. Alright, the next bayonet. The next bayonet is, oh, this is I think this is the first one Tobias ever had. This is a Spanish Mauser bayonet. The M1913 Spanish Mauser bayonet. Big old long one. I mean, I don't know. Let me see. Oh man, I don't know how long that is. We got a ruler here. What do we do? There's 10. That's 10 inches. Yeah, and then yeah. So right around 14, 15 inches long on that blade. Big old bayonet, and this is for the M1916 Spanish Mauser, 7mm Mauser. So it's got a little hole up there on the top. But yeah, that was for the Spanish Mauser bayonet. Funny, it's an M1913 bayonet, but they used it on the M1916 Mauser rifle. So maybe they had another Mauser before that this was made for, and then they, but it chiefly was used on the M19. I don't know. I ain't the expert, but this was made in Toledo, Spain. So there you have it, the M1913 bayonet for the M1916 Mauser. Let's move on to the next one. The next one, that's a bunch of American ones, though. Hold on. Alright, let's get the Mauser put away. Spanish Mauser. Lady of Spain, I adore you. We'll pull out these two. These are both almost the same. Both for the M1 rifle. And they're both known as an M1 bayonet, at least according to the United States Army. They were M1 bayonets. Now they're slightly different, if you can see at the tip there. We'll get to that in a second. But collectors like to call them like the M1905 42 modified, and then the M1942 bayonet. But really, they're referring to the fact that it has a plastic handle instead of a wood handle, because the M1905 bayonet originally came out with a wood handle, but then in 1942 U.S. military went to a plastic handle instead of wood handle. And so a lot of people like to say, well, M1905/42 or something like that. But no, the M1905 bayonet was always the M1905 bayonet. And the M1905 bayonet could fit the M1903 Springfield and the M1 Garand rifle. They both fired 30-06, everything fit. Matter of fact, I think one of the ideas was to make sure that the bayonet for the Springfield rifle could fit into the M1 rifle, so they didn't have to go around modifying it. But then in 1942, not only did they come out with this plastic handle, they also decided, you know what, we don't need a 16-inch blade, so they hacked off 6 inches of the blade and came out with a 10-inch blade. And well, originally, well, you had a bunch of bayonets laying around that had a really long blade. And see how that is? See how the blood groove goes all the way through the tip? That's because all they did was just chopped off the blade and ground a new tip on them. So sometimes that will have like a more like a well, it won't be a spear point. It'll be more like a Skinner type blade or pointy type blade, some other way, you know. So the tips of these are different sometimes. But in any case, this is the most common way it'll look. It'll look like that. And these are converted M1905 bayonets that are still considered an M1 bayonet. And then this is the later version. This one was actually made in 1943, and we know that because it's actually stamped 1943 and it's got the bomb on it and everything else. And notice how the fuller ends, and then you got the blade tip going on there. But that's the M1 bayonet. And I was talking about the M1905 bayonet. Well, Tobias doesn't have one of those, but he's got a fake one. Fake one that was made in China, and this is what that looks like. You see that? This is it's also got the plastic handle. Now, the original M1905s had a wood handle, but you see, that's how much longer it was. And well, 16-inch blade. Now this is 448 stainless steel, and like I said, it's made in China and everything, but we can use it for comparison's sake, I guess, right? See that? That's the difference in length of blades. That's what happens when you chop off 6 inches. Yeah, 6 inches does make a bit of a difference, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let's move on to a couple other bayonets. Well, this next one is sort of a bayonet. This is the Glock 81, and this is kind of designed after the M3 trench knife. But you see here, this is the Glock 81, and you see it's got a saw cutting edge up here, and that's what makes it Glock 81. See that? And this is out of Austria, so we've left the United States temporarily. We've seen Great Britain, but now we're in Austria. Glock, and this is a civilian version of what was known as the Messer 78, I think was the number, and it was actually a bayonet. And see how they got this stopper on the bottom there? Well, that would be removed and it would go onto some part of it, and it was used for whatever that knife those Austrians use. I think it's the AUG or something, and this was actually used on that. And this actually fitted onto an adapter for to hold the bayonet onto the knife or onto the rifle. It was not a cap lifter, but now people just call it a cap lifter because you could use it as a cap lifter. But that's the Glock 81, and it's not truly, it wasn't military issue as far as I know, but it's modified off of the Messer 78 knife used with the AUG rifle in Austria. So that's what we got with this one, the Field Messer 78 or something like that. Except they said it in Austrian, which sounds a lot like German. What's the next one? Back to America. Yeah. Camillus M4 in an M8 sheath. Now this, very similar to this. This is my Ontario M3. Let's pull that out and pull these out too. See the blade? See the blade? How big it's grown? Yeah, 6 3/4 inches long, and you see that blade? It is the same on the M3 trench knife as it is on the M4 trench knife. That's because originally the M3 trench knife was issued with the M1 carbine, and the M1 carbine didn't have a bayonet lug. When they first came out, they didn't see it as something necessary, but the soldiers saw it as something necessary, and they started finding out all sorts of wild ways to stick their M3 bayonet on the end of an M1 carbine. And so, you know what? Winchester and a couple other people back there in the United States said, maybe we should put a bayonet lug on the M1 carbine, because if we don't, they will, and maybe they'll screw up the rifle. So they came up with an idea, and they came out with the M4 bayonet, and this followed very shortly afterwards. But while they figured out how to do it, it really didn't start showing up with the troops until the very end of World War II. And I think some people probably even got the M4 bayonet before they got an M1 rifle that had the bayonet lug. But the cool thing about the M4 bayonet was the Army said, you know what, this is fine, this is good, this is a great money saver. What we need to do is just make an M1 bayonet, a bayonet for the M1 rifle, and that uses the same blade and everything. So they came out with another one. It's right here. It's the M5 bayonet, and this is for the M1 rifle. And you see that little button there? That actually fits into the, maybe you don't see it. You see it that way though, don't you? See that? See it? See right there. Ooh, come on, line. See? But anyway, that fits into the little gas port on your M1 rifle, and then this hooks into the bayonet lug. But as you can tell, very, very similar to the M4 bayonet, because it's using the exact same blade stock. And you know what they decided to do after that? Because this came out right after the Korean War. The United States Army has a wonderful way of saying, hey, let's modify something. We need it for this war. You know, that's what they did with this. It's like, this M4 bayonet, this is just what the soldier needs in World War II. And then they got to them just in time for the war to end. And that's kind of what they did with the M5 bayonet too, because it's like the Korean War was raging on. It's like, we got to get rid of all these big old M1 bayonet blades for the M1 rifle, and they're all getting all worn out, and we need some new bayonets for them, and so they came out with this just in time for the Korean War to end, because these came out right after the Korean War. They claim that a couple of the prototypes might have actually saw some service, but not really. They're just maybe a handful, maybe 100 prototypes made it over to Korea to actually see service. But really, once again, it was the Army, giving the soldier what he needs today, tomorrow. And that's what happened with the M5 bayonet. Showed up just in time for the Korean War to end. And then, well, you know what? Funny story. Had a friend who said, hey, I got a bayonet that I'd like to give you. It's the one that I used when I was serving in the Army in the 1960s. I'm thinking, all right, finally I'm going to get a M6 bayonet, one for the M14 rifle, because that's when what the Army was using in 1960s, before they went into Vietnam and everything. It's like 61, 62, 63, somewhere around there. Well, the bayonet he gave me was this one here. So this is after World War II, after the Korean War, all the way into 1960, and the Army is still issuing these bayonets to soldiers who have M1 rifles. Even they're not necessarily getting the M5-1 bayonets. Yeah, ain't that just a scream? Yeah, so this was still being used right up until the time when the Army decided to come out with the M14. And well, the M14 rifle, it gets the M6 bayonet, and that's right here. Would you look at that one? Look at this. See that? Got a big old ring on the top there, because the M14's got that flash hider that it's got to fit over. And if you notice the handle there, see that handle? Not much different than what you see on the M5-1. Same handle, same length, everything is the same. Because, well, the M14 and the M1 weren't that much different. It definitely had a different barrel size and everything, and so that's why you got that. So all they did was change out the guard here with the hole for the so you could hook it onto the end of your rifle. That's all they did with the M6 bayonet. It's basically the same as the M5 bayonet. It's just got a different hole for your barrel. Same bayonet lug and everything like that, though. And then, well, right after they adopted the M14 rifle, the United States Army, in its infinite wisdom, said, you know what? This rifle is going to last us for the next 30 years. And instead of keeping it for the next 30 years, they came out with the M16 rifle just a couple years later. And it's like, oh, great, we got an M16 rifle. Let's come out with a new bayonet. And so they had the M6 bayonet, and come out with the M7 bayonet. Here's the M7 bayonet. See that? Look at that. Kind of similar, don't you think? They're all in the same family. See that? Now, obviously, a bigger old ring on the top there, because the M14's flash hider was smaller than the M16's flash hider. But the interesting thing about this is, if you see some of the later model M4 bayonets, they have this same plastic handle that you have on the M7 bayonet. That's right, this handle was pulled over from the M4 bayonet, and you can kind of see that when you look at the shape of the two. See the shape? About the same. And so the M4 bayonet and the M7 bayonet are very similar. The big difference is really, look at the catch on the back there. Catch isn't that much different. It's just a bigger hole there for the barrel. And that's the M7 bayonet. So now we got through all those American bayonets that he has, but we still got a bayonet or two here, I think, to show you. All right, this one here is right here. This, I think, is Tobias's prized possession. When he finds out that I took it out of the scabbard, he might come after me because he probably is going to be ticked off that I was looking at this one. Because this one was given to him by Eric of Slick Slicer's fame. And this is the pattern 1907 bayonet for the Mark III SMLE. And so this is a British made bayonet, and this is actually copied off of the Japanese bayonet. The British liked the shape of the Japanese bayonet so much that they actually copied the blade and then just created it so it would fit to the Mark III SMLA, the short magazine Lee Enfield rifle, the rifle that won World War I and World War II as far as the British were concerned. Man, the Australians continued to use it forever. Yeah, but that is just one beauty of a knife. And that is probably, oh yeah, about 18, 19 inches long, maybe. Yeah, about 18 inches long on the blade, maybe 17. Great handle there. Yeah, nice and long. Very sharp and pointy. Got an edge to it. This is a fantastic bayonet. Just a true gem of a bayonet. And then there's one last thing to look at. All right, now let me get this back in here without messing anything up. Otherwise, Tobias will kill me. He probably will know if it's. He probably put something in there so he'll know that somebody pulled it out. Come after me later. I bet anything. Anyway, over here to this. I bet you people have watched Tobias's videos and saw this on the back here and didn't even think that it might be a knife, but why wouldn't it be a knife if it's going to be showing here? And this is also a bayonet, or it was a bayonet at one time. Now, let's just pull it out here, and if you see that, that is out of China. This is a Type 56 bayonet for the Type 56 carbine in China. Now, the Type 56 carbine is also known as the SKS. You know, as a Russian-made rifle first, and then the Chinese communists made it under contract, yeah, or something like that. I don't know. But in any case, it was one of those folding bayonets that was actually attached to the SKS or the Type 56 carbine, and it would rotate. And but it's not on the carbine, obviously, as you can see. And it's got a bamboo handle here, and it is pinned and placed in there, but that's what that is. And as you can see, it's not a sharp edge, not a very sharp, well, not even a very sharp point on it, but it's designed for penetration, and it can do some deep penetration, if you know what I mean. So there you go, the Type 56 bayonet for the Type 56 Chinese carbine. And that would be the last one of the bayonets on the wall here. So there you go. There's a tour of bayonets from around the world for International Knife Day. Hold on. Don't leave yet. I missed 4. I didn't see the 4 down here because I had piled a bunch of other bayonets on top of them. But there's 4 other bayonets that I didn't show you yet. So let me break those out real quick. And well, the first one here is this is for the German Mauser, the K98 Mauser that they used in World War II, and it's funky because it doesn't have the ring for the barrel. It just has a little groove there. Now I don't know if this one was made in Germany, or if it was made in Spain, or if it was made in Yugoslavia, because all 3 countries made a very similar bayonet, and these were churned out like crazy during World War II. So it may or may not be one from Germany. Might be from Spain also, because Spain used the same rifle. Yugoslavia used that rifle. Turkey, man, everyone was using the Kar 98 at one time or another. Same, unless they were American or British, and in which case they were using a nice, not Nazi rifle. But this is the Kar 98 bayonet. Where it was made, I don't know. I don't think anyone will ever know because there's no markings on this one. So, and then this one here, this one is German. This is East German though. I know that from the handle and in the scabbard here. I think this one's I think this one's East German. Might be Poland, but I think it's East German. And this is the AK-47 bayonet. They refer to it as a Model 47 bayonet though. And this is different than the usual bayonets you see. These are the ones that came out first with the AK-47 rifle, not the AKMs. And it's got the hole up there and you got a funky little, I don't know what you call it there, semi-hole back there. And this is supposedly designed after that Swedish bayonet that I started off with. You know, that's what this is supposed to be designed after. But in any case, that's the AK-47 bayonet. Okay, and this next one here, this is the Model 59 bayonet. Now this one I know is from East Germany, from the material here, and also the type of handle it has on it. See the saw blade there, and this is the Model 59 sheath for it, the one out of East Germany with the cheap leather. Now a lot of people look at that and like, why they put a hole in the blade? That's a weak spot, but now that hole in the blade is designed to hook up with the sheath, and it creates a wire cutters. That was the innovative thing that the Ruskies came up with, turning their bayonet into wire cutters. So there you go, that's the Model 59. And this was for the AKM. And this last one, this is also for an AKM, but this one was made in Poland. And this is the 6H4, and it's the Model 2 AKM bayonet. Notice how the AKM bayonet is, when you grip it in your hand for fighting and stuff, the blade, the sharp edge is up here, you got the clip there, and it's upside down in your hand when you're fighting with it, because you got the leather strap there and everything. The Poles, they didn't care for that saw part up there. They got rid of it. They saw it as useless. It didn't do any good. And they have an orangey brown kind of handle material going on. This is the second pattern of these knives, but it's still using the first pattern sheath. They have a later one that has a different sheath, but both of them will do the same thing, where you hook the blade in there. Come on, how do you hook the blade in there? Did it once, can I do it twice? I bet you the Ruskies did this thing where they would time their soldiers to see how quickly they could attach this together and cut it. You know, cut some wire or something like that. You know, the Swiss were thinking of doing something similar to this, but they wanted it to cut cheese. They wanted their bayonets to be able to cut cheese. Maybe you could use it for cutting string cheese. Maybe that's what the Swiss were thinking, cutting string cheese with the bayonet like that. Anyway, yeah, well, they're neutral, so they weren't out there trying to kill everybody. So anyway, there you go. That's I think that's the last of the bayonets now. This is the Polish, what was it, 648 or 6H4 or something like that. Well, what is it? 6H4. All right. Hey, I can't remember it all. I've been yammering for what, a half hour, 45 minutes on bayonets, just so you can see bayonets from around the world on International Knife Day. And it better be International Knife Day. And if it isn't International Knife Day, I'm going to write a letter to Congress and tell them to make it International Knife Day, because we need an International Knife Day. Skip out. All right. There you have it, all you knife chatters. Been your old pal, Skip the Show. Another fun Knife Friday in the books. Remember, if your knife's not fun, you're doing it wrong. Skip out.
If your knife's not fun, you're doing it wrong, and Skip Out are registered trademarks of Skip the Show Enterprises. This has been a Cat Production presentation. All rights reserved.